Ooh. Governor Tate Reeves appeared on Jake Tapper's show on CNN recently and said that if the SCOTUS does what we think they're gonna do and completely eliminate Roe v. Wade, his state will completely ban abortion. Here he is saying that.
Roe v. Wade is overturned, you will enforce the almost total abortion ban in Mississippi that exists in the inevitability or in the situation where Roe v. Wade is overturned, yes?
Yeah, Jake, that is a yes, because if you believe, as I believe very strongly, that innocent unborn child in the mother's womb is in fact a child. The most important word when we talk about unborn children is not unborn, but it's children. And so, yes, I will do everything I can to protect the lives of those children.
I mean, you can call them children if you want. That doesn't make them. I can say they're unborn gophers. That doesn't make them gophers. At that case, it's a fetus. We can be honest about the developmental stage of what we're talking about here. That's what we can do. And again, you'll notice that he is talking about how much supposed love and respect he has for the fetus, not for the adult woman whose body is being turned into a non-consensual factory for producing another human. He's perfectly fine with that. You'll note that they consider having to wear a mask to be an unacceptable infringement on their rights, but having to bear a child, totally cool and acceptable. It's the coolest thing ever, actually. So anyway, that's Tate Reeves. He's being honest there, right, Francesca? Even though he seemed oddly initially, he didn't want to say it initially, I guess, but he is being honest. What do you think?
I mean, that was like very much an inventory of all the abortions he's been responsible for. That was like, okay, well that one, yeah. Got to get this in before the law passes. You know, for a party that is so fixated on manly men and alpha men and their version of twisted ass masculinity, you don't really seem very strong when your entire purpose is just to restrict and legislate women's bodies. You're so fragile in your own masculinity that you can't have a woman make decisions for her own body and her own life herself. That scares you. That somehow freaks you out. That is why Republicans only go after women's reproductive freedom when they're losing on every. Let's see, we tried to make Elmo the enemy and that didn't work. Now it's just women's wombs. I love when you talk about women's wombs. Oh, the woman. Oh, suddenly we care about women. Doesn't matter if that woman's womb is unhoused and a woman's womb, not even a woman, just a womb is living on the street. What about if a womb can't get access to health care? Maybe even to have that baby. No, doesn't matter. Or a womb can't get a job, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You are a straight vessel, and my God, it's very revelatory of what a weak, small person you are. Just so fragile. I'm mad. And here's what I'm really mad at. I'm not mad at these Republicans because we've seen what they wanted to do. But if I have my go at this issue, I'm mad at Democrats. I'm mad at a lot of nonprofits that have been doing a lot of work day in and day out, raising tons of money. And yet we haven't had a plan to combat or go on the offense against what we knew was a Supreme Court strategy from the far right to take it over and to overturn Roe v. Wade. We've seen this coming for so long. So what was the plan? What about all those Democrats that keep on fundraising and keep on saying, give us your money because we can't overturn Roe v. Wade. We need more money. Well, where was your plan, buddy? Are you expanding the courts? Are you putting pressure on Joe Biden? What was your plan? Why didn't you force RBG to retire when she should have? So like, I'm just mad. I need to stew in the anger that is inept Democrats and inept nonprofits. Not all of them. A lot of organizations are on the front lines doing really dope work, but a lot of them are just raising money for a lot of BS overhead. But what have you done? You haven't protected women's right to choose. You haven't protected this issue. We're moving backwards, not forwards. So yeah, man, of course Republicans are gonna do what they're gonna do. Where have the Democrats been on this?
Exactly. Yeah, and even in like some of the stuff you're asking for might be a big ask, but even on the smallest things, like, they can't force her to retire, but there were people like chastising anyone who even talked about it. Like you're pretending that you take this seriously, but you're putting like the very temporary interests of one particular judge over tens of millions of Americans' rights, you're 100% right. They didn't do anything. They're not really doing anything now. They don't have a strategy. They're using it to stay in office to then apparently not do much with that office.
Yes.
In the case of Tate Reeves, though, you'll be shocked to find out that Mississippi, when it comes to a culture of life, isn't necessarily doing too well, even just if you restrain your focus to looking at the mom and the kid. So we're gonna play a little bit more of the video and then we'll get into some stats. So here's a bit of what Jake Tapper had to say.
So the country has been here before 1973, and what happens in reality is women of means are still able to get abortions, but poor women, young women, vulnerable women end up often seeking abortions in ways that can cause them severe harm, mutilation, if not death in some cases. So do you acknowledge that this step will result in some women and almost certainly getting seriously hurt, some even dying?
Well, I certainly would hope that that would not be the case. But what I would tell you, Jake, is that since Roe was enacted in 1973, there have been 62 million American babies that have been killed through this process. And I think that those babies in their mother's womb don't have the ability to stand up for themselves.
Yeah, because they don't have the ability to literally stand up. You're talking about clumps of cells. And you are, again, focusing all of your attention and time literally onto the supposed rights of the clump of cells. He just told you fully grown women with rights, okay, supposed constitutional rights, might get injured and die. You spent a half a second saying, I hope that won't happen, when you know it's a fact that it will, and then immediately turned it back to the fetuses. But here's the thing. He doesn't even care about that, honestly. Like, again, it isn't about a whole life thing. It is barely about even producing 1-day-old newborns. Mississippi has the highest infant mortality rate in the country. For every 1,000 live births, 9.08 infants die before their first birthday. Let's jump ahead to the stats. You can see where the United States ranks on this horribly in comparison to many other countries. So they don't even really care about the newborn babies. Again, it is about forcing women to do this, taking like mobilizing the most aggressive, hateful Christianity in support of their economic agenda, which is the far more important part of it. They force the women to have the kids, not caring, as Francesca pointed out, if the mother has access to housing or healthcare, mental health care. And then as soon as the kid is born, well then screw the kid. If he dies before his first birthday, well then whatever. It literally does not bother him. He is in charge of that state, and that is not what he is spending his time actually trying to solve.
Make America great again. This is where we are. I mean, it's so pathetic. Time and again, we keep on coming back to this issue, and that's exactly right. It is about death. It is about victims of rape, of incest. It's about women who are sick and cannot carry a child to term, being denied an abortion that could save their lives, and they are forced to have that child. And guess what? That puts not only their kid's life, but their own life. It doesn't matter if all parties involved die, but no, it's for the ideological purpose of your own Christian nationalism, of your own pig-headed bigotry. And look, and this is where, honestly, I hope that more conservative women step up. I really do. And I do know there are conservative women who are pro-choice. And I hope that they actually take some reins. I know it's small, I'm sure it is small. But this is not a liberal conservative issue. Abortions are not a liberal conservative issue. Stop it. So I hope for a better party, of a Republican Party in the future. I don't know if we're gonna get it. But also I'm disgusted.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.